And let's click on this start downloading. This should start the downloading. Okay, so it's first asking for the permission. So if I allow it, so you can see the downloading is a start, and you can see in the notification it's actually showing the progress. And once it is done, so if I tap on it, it should open it in MP4 player. Hi friends, I'm Top from Easy Approach, and I hope you all are doing great in this really hard 2020. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about one of the most important topics and one of the most requested topics, that is how to integrate downloading in your Flutter application so that user can download files from your application. Like say you have a song collection application and there are a lot of songs to enjoy for the user. And if user wants to download some songs, so he will be able to download it from your application. It's pretty simple, just we have to understand few concepts. Anyways, first of all, let's see what are the dependencies we are going to use in order to do this. So the very first plugin that we are going to use in order to integrate downloading is Flutter_downloader. You can easily find on pub.dev, and you can go on installation tab, and you can find here the line that you have to add in your pubspec.yaml file. So just copy this line and open your pubspec.yaml file and just paste it after Cupertino icons. So here it is. And you have to click on pub-get. This would install that package. Now the second plugin that we are going to use is path_provider. You can find it on pub.dev. It's pretty famous, and you just have to copy this line and you have to paste in pubspec.yaml file. We are using this path provider because we need to specify some path of directory when we will be configuring the downloading plugin, because we have to specify where the downloaded file will be stored. So we need this for this purpose, for that purpose. And now the last one is permission handler, because we need to have right permissions before we downloaded the file. So that's why we have to use this plugin as well. And just click on pub-get. This would install the plugins, all the required plugins, and then we can continue and we can start coding. Okay, that's great. Now, first of all, we have to do some native level configuration for downloading plugin. So for this, we have to go on pub.dev on Flutter downloader, and in the README, we have some copy paste stuff. So I'm gonna just do for Android integration. For the iOS, it's almost same. The main concept is still same, just you have to add few more lines that you can find from here. But for now, just go in Android integration, and you have to copy and paste this in Android manifest file. This will allow user to perform click action on notification to open the downloaded file on Android, because once the downloading is completed, the notification will appear on the system tray. And by adding this code, the user can tap on the notification, and the Android system will open that file on corresponding application. So we need this code to be in our Android manifest. So just go in Android folder or Android module of your project, and inside the app we have source, and inside the source we have main, and there we have Android manifest file, and inside the application we can copy this code. So that's great. There's another configuration that is actually optional, and that is to restrict the user to have maximum X amount of downloading concurrent task. So if you want to set some threshold to have at the same time to have some limited downloading task running, so what you can do, you can go on again README, and you can find here optional configuration, and you can see here it is written configure maximum number of concurrent downloading tasks. So what you can do, you can just copy this and you can paste it after the code that we have pasted previously, and you just have to change this value. If you want to have 10 number of maximum concurrent tasks, you can set it to 10, but I'm not gonna do anything. I just told you that you can do it as well, and this is great. Now we have to add some permissions as well. So for adding the permission, because after the downloading, we have to store it in our Android system. So we need to have the right permission for this. So what I'm going to do inside the application, I'm going to add two permissions. actually these two permissions, the read external storage and the write external storage. So this is great. And now you can close everything, including the application, because we have added some new things in native level. So we have to close the application and we have to reopen it so that it initialize or build the project completely and properly. Oh, okay, there's some error in building. Unexpected element uses permission. Oh, we should not paste it inside the application tag, but rather we have to keep it outside the application. So let's rerun it. So the application is built and with all the plugins successfully installed. So that's great. So we can close everything and we can start decoding. Now, the very first thing that we have to do in order to start the downloading, we have to initialize the downloading plugin. For this, we have some code to write, but I'm just gonna copy and paste. So here you can find the initialize code. So just copy this couple of lines, or actually 3, and we have to put it before running the application. And since we are using await inside it, so we have to use async. This is normally this widget flutter binding.ensure initialize. We normally use it when we have to communicate with Flutter framework before running the application actually. So we have to ensure the initialization of Flutter widget binding before communicating with it. So that's actually for it, and that is actually for initializing the Flutter downloading plugin. And if you set the debug true, then you can see the debug messages are on console, and you can either set it to false as well when you are working on when you are going to make it live. But as we have to check whether it's working or not, so we have to keep it true. So that's what we have to do for initialization. And as we have to start the downloading, when the user would tap on a start downloading button, so we have to keep all the code inside the on press. So let's write the code for downloading. And before writing the code for downloading, actually, we have to ask a user for the permission so that we can make sure that we are good to write the downloaded file in Android system. So for this, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use here permission handler. And actually we have to use await because we have futures inside the permission handler. So we have to use the async as well. So firstly, I'm gonna make a variable status that you can use to see the status of permission. And then we have to write permission dot storage. And you have to request for this permission. Okay, that's it. And since it's a future, we have to use here await. And now we can check the status. And if the status is undetermined, it means it's not the permission is not actually given. But if it is granted, so it means the permission is granted. So we can continue and we can do the downloading work actually. For now, in the else, we can just print the message that permission denied or something. And inside this permission dot is granted, inside this block, we will write the code for downloading the file from some server. And now for starting the downloading task, actually, we have to use Flutter downloader. And inside it, we have enqueue. And there we have URL that we have to define. It's actually the URL where our file is actually stored that we have to download. And then we have the save directory, the directory in which we want to store the downloaded file. So the URL that we are going to use is actually, I have stored a dummy file, which is actually an MP4 file on Firebase server. So here's the link. You can use my link. I will put it in the description, or you can use your own. So here is the link that we have to define. And then we have to specify the save directory, the directory in which we want to store this file. So for this, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the path provider package to get the path of the directory. So I'm gonna make a variable final, and let's make external directory. And you can get the instance of the directory by using get external storage directory. And then for specifying the path of it, because we have to specify the string path, so what we can do, we can use external directory dot path. Okay, so that's it. And now we have to specify a few more things. We can specify the file name. So I'm gonna just make it download. And then we have a couple of more properties, that is show notification, because we want to show the notification for acknowledgement, to show the progress, and to show the acknowledgement that your downloading is completed. So we have to keep it true. And we have open file from notification as well, because we want to open the file once the downloading is completed and the user taps on the notification from the notification tray. So we have to keep it true as well. So that's what you have to do for starting the downloading. And this enqueue returns actually the task ID that is actually unique for each downloading task. So we have to store the task ID as well. We are not gonna use for now, but we can use it for many purposes, and I will tell you in a moment. So that's it. Now let's run the application, because we have written the code for downloading, and let's run the application. Make sure there is no error. So let's open this run. It's perfect. And let's click on this start downloading. This should start the downloading. Okay, so it's first asking for the permission. So if I allow it, so you can see the downloading is a start, and you can see in the notification it's actually showing the progress. And once it is done, so if I tap on it, it should open it in MP4 player. So you can see the video that I have downloaded is now open. So now let's go back. That's actually great. We have successfully downloaded the file. So you can see it's pretty simple. We have just done few things, and we have integrated the downloading feature in our Flutter application. But now there is still something missing. Say if I want to get acknowledgement within the application, so that say if I want to show some progress indicator in my application, not in the notification tray, but in my application, and on completing the downloading, I want to do something. So how can I get the acknowledgement of the downloading in the application, so that I can perform some task, or I can show the progress within the application? For this, what we have to do actually, so this may be actually the new thing for you to learn, because I really enjoyed it when I come to know about these new things. So anyways, let's see how we can achieve this. So first of all, for getting the acknowledgement, we have to register a callback. So for this, we have to go inside the init state, and what we can do, we have downloadable, what was the name of the widget of the plugin? It's actually Flutter downloader, and we have registered callback. So here, what we can do, we can define a callback, and make sure here we have to define the function, but make sure the function should be a top level function. So let's give the name of this function, which we haven't created yet, downloading callback. And let's make it top level or static function. Top level means you have to put it outside everything, outside this widget or the main. And static means you have to make it a static function. So what we can do, we can make it static. So let's write static and just give the name downloading callback. And here you have to specify all the parameters that actually inside this downloading callback, because if you can see, if I write register callback, you can see by default it provides us different things. So we have to keep it in our downloading callback. Now, before getting these values inside the downloading callback and using it in the application, what I'm gonna do a little change in the UI of the application. I'm gonna add a linear progress indicator so that we can show the live progress of the downloading in the application. So the first thing that we have to define is the background color. So we have to say we can make it gray. This is actually the unfilled color, and for the value color we have to write always is stoppable, always a stopped animation, and inside it we have to specify the color, and let's make it green color. Okay, and after this we have to specify the current value. For the current value, what we can do, we can make a variable. So let's make a double variable, and initially the progress would be 0. Okay, so we can specify this variable here, and for the height we can say we can make it 60. So that's great, and let's have a little space between these two, so we can get it using size box, and let's make it 60 or something. And now we can get the values, and we can update the we can get the values of progress inside the downloading callback, and we can update this progress. So this would show the progress on the application. So before doing anything, let's refresh this application. This should show the empty progress indicator, and you can see it's showing. And now once we get these progress values inside the downloading callback and we update it, so it would definitely increase, and it will go until it is 100%. Oh, I mean until it is not 100%. So let's see how we can update the progress value. For updating the progress value, should we do like this? Like we can call set state, and inside it we can write progress equals to progress. So the simple answer is we cannot do this. The reason is because this downloading callback will get executed in background isolate, because the downloading is also done in background isolate, so that it cannot freeze the UI isolate, which is actually the main isolate. So in order to update this value of progress, as this is whatever inside it will be executed it in the background isolate, so we have to make some sort of communication between the background isolate and the main isolate in which we have the UI, so that whenever there is some update of the progress in the background isolate, in the downloading isolate, so it gives back the information to the main isolate where our UI is, and we can update the UI there. So for this we have to make the communication between two different isolates. So we have two different isolates. The first one is the downloading isolates, in which our downloading is happening, and the second one is the main isolate in which our UI is actually. So and if you don't know about the isolate, so you can think isolate is like a thread, although it's not exactly the same, but for the understanding you can think it like a thread. So now let's see how we can make the communication between the downloading isolate and between the main isolate. For the communication between two isolates, we use ports, and there are two types of ports for the communication. The first one is the receiving port, that is used to receive data from other isolates, and the other one is sender port, which is actually tightly coupled with receive port, and which is used to send data to its receiver port end. Because we want to get the data in the main isolate, so we will put the receiver port here in the main isolate, because this is actually the main isolate, and we will register the sending port in the isolate name server, where all the sending port actually register, and the other isolate can look up for that port, so that it can use that port for sending the data to its receiver end. So this is how we have to do this. So don't worry, because we are going to implement that. So first of all, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a receive port. So here it is, and let's give the name receive port. So we are initializing it in main isolate because we want to get the data in this isolate. And inside the init state, we have to register this. It's actually sending port. We have to register it in isolate name server so that the other isolate, that is actually the downloading isolate, can look up for this for the sending port, and it can use that sending port for sending the data to this receiving port. So for registering, we have isolate name server, and we can use receive port with name and just write, here we have to specify the sending port. So we can get the sending port from the receiving port. And for the name, we can just write anything. I'm just writing downloading. So this is how you can register the sending port. Now, as we have registered this send port, now inside this, which will be executed, which will actually run in the downloading isolate, which is the background isolate, to get this port, which is actually this sending port from the main isolate, what we can do, we can again use isolate name server. And inside it, we have lookup port by name. This isolate name server is actually global and can be used by any isolate. So we can specify the name, which is downloading, the same name that we have used here to register, and it will return us the send port. So we can make send port something like this, and now we can use this send port to send the data to the main isolate. So just write here send port, and inside it you have sent, and you can send the message in any form. You can send it in a list form, in a map form, or in a custom object. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just send it in a list form. So firstly, I'm gonna send ID, then status. This ID is actually the task ID. This status is actually downloading status. It will tell you whether the downloading is completed or not. And the last one is progress, which is actually the live progress value of the downloadable task. Now we have successfully sent the data in the main isolate, but still we haven't received the data in the main isolate. So for receiving the data in the main isolate, we have to listen for the data that's actually coming in this receive port. So for this, what we can do, we have to write receive port, and we have to write listen. Okay, and inside it, we will receive the message. And what we can do, we can here, because this is actually in the main isolate, in the UI isolate, we can use set state, and we can update the progress value. And how we can update, because we have sent it in the list form, and this is at the second index, so we can just write 2. So I think that's it. So here, let's add some comments so that when you clone this project, you can get a little guidance. So here, register a send port so that the other isolate that will send the data can look up for this port and can send the data using this port. And here we are actually listening for the data that is coming from other isolates, and that will only be sent through this send port. So this is how you have to do. And here we are looking up for the send port that's actually coming from the main isolate, and here we are sending the data. Okay, that's it. I think that's it. Now let's restart the application and make sure there isn't any error. So let's open this console. So it's perfect. Okay, now let's start the downloading. And before starting the downloading, let's open the console so that we can see if there is any error. It's not showing any progress, and yeah, there's any error. You can see unhandled exception type int is not a subtype of double. Okay, so the progress that this downloading callback is returning is actually the integer. So what we can do for solving this, we can make it integer rather than double, but this linear progress indicator takes a double. So what we can do, we can convert it to double. Yeah, we can do this. Now let's restart the application. And let's open the console to see if there is any error. No, it's correct. Okay, now before starting the downloading, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add another line just to see what we are getting in the progress. It's just for the testing. Okay, that's fine. Now let's restart the application. I cannot find the restarting button, so let's stop it and let's restart the application. So now the application is restarted. Now let's start the downloading. It should show the message on console, as well as it should show the progress on linear progress indicator. Okay, so you can see it's showing the progress. However, it's not showing the linear progress indicator properly. It might be because of this. We have converted the progress into double. So let's get rid of this, and what we can do instead, because you can see we are getting the result, just we have some UI issues. So what we can do, we can just print the progress, and let's keep it in the text widget. Okay, so now let's restart the application. Okay, so initially it's 0. Let's zoom it a bit. It's pretty small. So let's make the size of 40, I guess. Okay, now let's hit start downloading. And you can see it's actually... Okay, so you can see the progress of downloading. Okay, so that's great. So downloading is completely successfully happened. And if I tap on it, this should open the video. And it's working perfectly. So this is it from this video. In this video, we have learned how to integrate the downloading feature in our Flutter application. And we have learned a new thing as well, how to make communication between two isolates, and we have worked with the permission handler. So there are a lot of different things to learn in this video. So if you like the video, please give a big thumbs up. And there's another thing that I have missed is actually this task ID. As I told you, this can be used for various tasks. Like you can use this task ID to stop the downloading, to pause the downloading, to resume, and to do a lot of other things. And you can, if you have multiple downloading tasks running at the same time, so you can get the ID first, and you can identify the task, which task is actually downloading. So this is it from this video. If you like the video, please give a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel and share the videos with those who wants to learn Flutter with easy approach. So thank you for watching.